Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode number 63, and today we will be talking about some places where we would like to travel, maybe in the near future, who knows when, but I definitely have a couple places on my list, and I'm very, very excited to hear what's on my co-host list, my good buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. Yes. We this is the Untranslatable Podcast. We talk about travel. We got to put our money where our mouth is. I have some that are both near future and then more aspirational locations, locations where
Nice.
I can't say I can put a plan in anytime soon, but places I definitely want to hit. So yeah, I'm interested to hear your list too. Whenever I think of like places you want to travel, in my head I'm just like, is Chad just gonna say like Austria and Germany? And like, all right, that's it.
Right, that's a safe bet.
Done.
I tried to keep it this episode. I'm trying to keep it to places I haven't been to yet.
Right. Oh, I tried to do the same thing. That makes sense.
Although there are places in Germany and Austria I would like to visit, but we'll get to that later.
Speaking of which, though, before we get into that, I guess I'll give a slight teaser to one of the places. We'll talk more about it in the main topic. Actually, I won't even mention the place. But what I will say is I currently have a price alert in,
Ooh.
and the price alert is for the next like 2 months. And this game, it's starting all over again.
It's a
Here we go.
dangerous game.
And I've seen some good prices. However, there are 2 layovers, and this is a long flight that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But 2 layovers is a hard one to get on board with.
Yeah, there's a lot that could go wrong within those 2 layovers.
Yeah, and so I think maybe some strategy for and something I have to try to accept is searching farther out. We talked about this last week, but it's just this game that I play with these price alerts is crazy. I will say this though. I've been using Kayak before. I'm done with that. I have a new favorite for price alerts. Do you ever do price alerts?
I do.
Where do you go to?
I've always, ever since I studied abroad with you in Austria, I used Skyscanner once. I don't even remember how I came across it, but I used Skyscanner once, and I got a round-trip flight to Paris and back to Vienna for like 25 euros.
Wow. 25 euro?
Yep.
Well, that's what I'm using, Skyscanner. Skyscanner, for some reason, to me, also seems better suited for international trips. I don't know why. I have no idea why.
Maybe.
This is
I'm
based
not
off
sure.
of no sort of information.
Right. Just by feel.
What I do like about it is specifically that if you can put in multiple price alerts, because I have for different airports in a similar area, and it gives it to you in the same email.
That is nice.
Game changer. Rather than getting like 3 different emails every day with the price, you can then compare them right next to each other.
See, I have job alerts, and I have them for Michigan, Germany, Austria, Prague, and then the Czech Republic in general.
Jeez, your email is overflowing.
Oh, dude, I get at least like 5 to 10 emails a day, like new job, and half the time it's the same thing I got yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, well, that's how you find a job, I guess.
Right.
How's the Czech Republic? You know what I like about I don't know what I don't know what the weather like is in the Czech Republic, like what it tends to be, because it seems to snow, but it doesn't seem like snow is an issue. But here in Philadelphia, it's great because it's barely even cold, especially as me being the Michigander. It's like in the 30s. I'm like, this is great.
Right. That's like hoodie weather for a Michigander right there.
Exactly.
I feel like. Yeah, it's been a little cold. I went to the Maturita ball on Friday, which was great. And as usual,
This is for your school.
No, this was the last one for the gymnasium. So I'm at the technical school, not the gymnasium. And so, but it was great.
How many balls does this gymnasium have?
Well, so the way, in the States we have prom, and that's for all the graduating classes, right? Mm-hmm. Here, as they call it in Czech, maturitní ples, a little bonus untranslatable for you.
Wow.
The maturitní ples, or the Maturita balls, are they're held by each class. So what this means is every grade will have 3 or 4 classes, right? They have like a 4A, 4B, 4C, whatever. At my school, they're all like we have V, S, E, and TM. I know TM is technical management. I think E might be engineering. I'm not sure. I was told this my first day at school, but I met so many new people and had so much information coming into my brain that first day at school. It was impossible to remember.
Shaking
everything.
20 people's hands and getting names thrown at you. It's like, I'm not going to remember this.
Exactly.
But these, as you've mentioned this before, but these are all open to the public. So even though each school
you got to buy
has
a ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
So even though each school has their own ball, people from other schools go to other schools' balls. Not school, but whatever you called it.
Yeah, other schools.
Class. Oh,
well, other
school?
Class and other schools. I mean, I had students from my school there.
Okay.
And at the previous ball I was at, not this one, but the one before that, a few weeks ago, there were even students from the next town over called Kădan that came to this one here in Chomutov.
I remember you went to Kădan with Jeff a long time ago.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a great place.
I'm starting to get really sick of your. Speaking of your students, I'm starting to get real sick of your Instagram. It's becoming gross. I see comments like "greatest teacher ever" on your.
I love it. It's great.
I literally rolled my eyes looking at your Instagram yesterday.
It's all right. I'll start to comment on all your pictures. Great podcast co-host ever. Will that make you feel better?
Oh my god.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Honestly,
that's all
man,
I'm really asking for.
Okay, good. Well, the funny thing is, though, man, every time I see my students, and as we discussed in the previous episode, my semester with the 3rd and 4th year students is coming to an end this week. This week will be my last, few classes with them. And so I saw quite a few students at the ball, and I gotta say, man, they definitely have boosted my teacher ego a little bit, because a lot of them were, giving me compliments, and a lot of them seemed like they were really, genuine and sincere comments. Not just like, oh, I like you as a teacher, but like, I really enjoyed all the different vocabulary you taught us. I really liked the interesting, topics you chose. And I have to show you this, man. 1 second. I'm going to get off camera real quick.
While Chad's doing this, I forgot to mention, follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Or you can email us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. And spread a little love with 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher, please. Thanks. Especially the students that claim to be so in love with Chad.
That's right. But look at this,
Show that
dude.
love.
I got a 5-liter Budvar beer keg from my students on Friday.
That's awesome.
So this is how you know right here. This is how you know you're doing a good job as a teacher.
That is awesome.
So yeah.
Have you cracked it open yet? Is that the beer of the pod?
It is. I'm going to drink all 5 liters in 2 hours. That's right. Tap to mouth. Exactly. But yeah, this was a really big surprise, though. So let me tell you. I'm going to put it down.
Did you just carry that on the way home? Carry it home or something?
It fit in my backpack, so I didn't feel like an alcoholic within my backpack. I got some weird looks in the hallway at my school when I was carrying it up to my office, but you know what are you gonna do, right? But I have to say, one of my students, Hansa, I'm pretty sure it was Hansa. He gave a little speech and presented me with the little keg of beer, and it was a really nice speech, like. Not to sound corny, but I was getting a little teary-eyed, a little bit, you know.
Well,
because
I mean, that's like a almost an overwhelming amount of love. I feel like I've never experienced or witnessed anything like that in my high school days in America or in Germany. I've just never experienced that in my high school, middle school days.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, this isn't a normal situation either. You know, I'm only at our school, as far as I know, for this year.
Right.
And I also asked my students, you know, for how many of you, I'm the first American you've ever met. This is a bigger class of mine, excuse me, and I have about, I think, 22 or 23 students in this one classroom, and there were at least 18 or 19 hands up when I asked them if I was the first American they've ever met.
And think about it, too. Like, how much interaction did those other few people actually have with the American that they met? I highly doubt it's the level of interaction they had with you.
Right.
Just assuming.
I would imagine so. I mean, you know, I was there for 45 minutes every week. The sad thing was I was only able, because we wanted to divvy everything up evenly, I only went to one class per week. So I only got to see them for 45 minutes every week. The other teachers will get an hour and a half because they teach them 2 lessons a week. But if I would have done that, then half of the 3rd and 4th grade classes wouldn't have had me as a teacher. So we figured it's only fair for me to teach 1 lesson for every class, then 2 lessons for some classes, and other classes wouldn't have me as a teacher at all.
Do you go to the balls solo, stag as they say, or do you bring a date with your students there?
Great question, very good question. So usually I go like quasi, partly solo. Like,
isn't quasi an American, or Americans say quasi as well?
Okay.
Not quasi, but
I've
they say
used it more in German.
Quasi.
I've used it more in German.
Fancy Americans.
Right. Maybe. Yeah, exactly. So the first one I went with a friend of mine named Jan, and he actually studied abroad or spent an exchange year for high school in Minnesota. Super nice kid. Really, really nice guy. I would say is definitely a good friend of mine here. And I actually met him. It's kind of funny. I was with Annabelle at like this bar disco restaurant here in Chomutov called Admiral. And we were there and we were speaking English, a little mixture of English and German. And he overheard us and he came up and just introduced himself and started talking to us. We exchanged information. Young. Exactly.
Never done that in my life.
So he, right. And so he's come over a few times and watched some, he likes American football. I have to say American football because our international listeners out there might get him confused.
I would have asked if he would have just said football.
Right. And so we watched a couple football games together, and a really great guy.
Are you guys going to watch the Super Bowl together?
Probably not. It's on kind of late, I think. I don't know.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't really care that much
probably
about
start
the Super
till
Bowl.
like 8 here, which is going to be like 2 a.m. for you.
Exactly. But anyway, so the first one I went with him. He came over here, and I went with him. This one, though, he had, I don't remember what he was doing, but he came late. But it's really funny, dude. So I went to this restaurant and hotel here called Chicago. And they serve like American-style food, and they have really, really good hamburgers. They have this one, it's called the jalapeno burger. They have bacon on it, and it's close to American bacon. You know how European bacon's a little thinner? It's usually not quite as crispy.
More hammy than it is bacon.
Exactly. Well, this place, you get more American-style bacon. You know I love spicy food. And they have this really good like sauce on it that's, I don't even know, it's like an orange sauce, but it's like spicy. It's really, really good. It's kind of like a spicy, maybe like a really spicy version of like a Thousand Island, maybe.
Okay, all right.
But anyways, I went there, and I've gone there enough where the people know I'm not Czech. They know I've told them I'm a teacher here, and so the owner of the bar was there. Just so happened to be there while I was there, and he starts talking to me. And at first he asked me, "Are you Welsh, British, Scottish?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm American."
You love that, don't you?
Right? and so
you just love when people don't guess that you're American.
Right? Exactly. And so we had a nice conversation, but it was kind of awkward.
That's a weird guess.
Right?
Statistically speaking, what's the chances?
Right. Yeah. I have no idea. I have no idea whatsoever. That's a great point. So we're talking, we're having a great conversation, and he asks me, could I teach him English? Which I would love to help him out. But the problem is the way my visa is set up, I'm not allowed to take any extra money because, the way the visa is set up, it's like, it's weird. It's something in between like a work visa and a student visa, I think. I'm not really sure. But I've been told by my organization I'm not allowed to take any extra money, even if it's under the table, whatever. And it was really funny because he offered me...
They're not going to say, you're not allowed to take money. Unless it's under the table, then that's fine.
Right. That would be a little shady. But anyway, so he asked me, and then I was like, no, I can't, like, the way my visa is, I can't take money. He's like, don't worry, like, cash only. And I was like, man, I get it. Like, I would be happy to take money. But I was like, look, you're the owner of this bar. I come here once a week to eat a burger. You give me a free burger, I will teach you English for an hour.
He said, yeah?
Yeah, he said yeah.
Look at you.
So free meal for English lessons.
I like the way you negotiate.
Right. And he's a nice guy. His English needs a lot of work, but that's why he wants me to be there and help him out. So should be fun. And it's also just a nice place, man. They play a lot of really cool rock music at this place called Chicago. If you find your way over here, we'll definitely go.
Okay. He's Czech?
He's Czech, yeah.
And he owns this place.
I'm pretty sure he's the owner, yeah. And what was funny, though, one of the reasons why I brought this up to you is I went there before the ball on Friday, right? And I go there, and after I had agreed to teach him English in exchange for like a meal or something, I finished my meal, and I sat down next to him at the bar because we were having a nice conversation. And he goes, "Do you like whiskey?" And I'm like, well, I mean, if you're offering, I'll have some whiskey. Had this really good Irish whiskey called, I think, Macmillan.
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
I've heard of that. They have that here.
Yep, had Macmillan, and that was good. And then we're sitting there, and he's like, "Do you like cognac?"
Jeez.
And I'm like, well, I mean, if you're going to offer. He gave me some cognac.
Are you a big really cognac guy?
I mean, honestly, I think I've only had it one other time besides that time. It was good, though.
Cognac kind of like a sweet, like whiskey or something? Or is
Kind
it like
of.
super aged wine or something? Or something like that?
I would think it's more
Or is that
sweeter
sherry?
whiskey. I think sherry is the aged wine, isn't it?
Right, maybe. And then cognac is like a sweet whiskey or something like that?
Something like that. But then I'm like sitting there and I'm starting to feel a buzz come on a little bit because I had...
That's weird.
I also, he also got me a beer as well. So I ended up having like 2 beers, 3 shots because they had this other like cocoa leaf. It's like this green liquor. And he gave me one of those. I ended up paying for my hamburger and 1 beer. And that's it.
Of course. That makes sense. That makes sense. I was surprised you had to pay for your beer and a hamburger.
I mean, I wasn't trying to push it. But yeah, so anyways, I started off my night on the way.
I'm your teacher.
Right?
We've already shook hands on this. This has started.
That's right. That's right. Now I expect another burger tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you go. Now you eat there 3 times a day, every day, just hammered.
Oh God. But anyways, dude. So that was how my evening started off, and then like I came back to my apartment.
This is before the ball, right?
This was before the ball. Yeah,
that's
so
a good Falcaloon right there.
Exactly. So I came back here and took a shower and slammed like a thing of water just to be safe.
I was going to say a beer or something like that.
And then, I mean, I could have. That would have just put me in a different place that I wanted to get to, I guess. But it was a great time, though. And it was nice to talk to him. We talked about music. He likes a lot of similar metal music that I listen to. He's been to some cool concerts. So it was fun. It was a good time.
I'm interested how someone that generally doesn't speak English decided upon an American restaurant and apparently did a pretty good rendition of it, you know? Like that just seems like an interesting... Like
right.
How did he decide on that style of food?
Here's the thing, man. I think in Europe, especially in the Czech Republic and maybe parts of Eastern Germany, maybe also West Germany, I'm not sure. But there's like this allure to everything that's American. Like they think it's like kind of cool, or it's like in a way it's kind of like exotic, right? Because it's like,
I mean, we're foreign, kind of like how we find British accents, like any foreign people alluring or something,
right? And I think the other thing is too, like there's a lot of movies from the United States that people watch, a lot of music they get, and so I think that just makes it. And I think a lot of people here in the Czech Republic, I think they really believe that America is like what they see in the movies, which sometimes is like that, but a lot of times it's not.
I mean, it's getting closer as time goes on. By the way, shutdown's over, finally.
Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't believe it. So, so that's great.
Our last episode came out after the shutdown ended, and we were talking about, where's this thing going to end?
Good. Well, good. That's great
so
news.
I had to bring that up. We know it's over.
That is fantastic news. Well, I think that on that note, maybe we should head into some shout-outs. What do you think, buddy?
Spread a little love. Yeah, let's do it.
So, do you have any shout-outs today?
Yeah, I'll start. Sorry, I got like 2 mouses around me, and I
Two
was
meese?
spinning it around. I was like, why isn't it moving? I looked at my other computer, and it's flying all over the place.
Nice.
So this one I'm conflicted about, but I want to get your opinion on it.
Okay.
This involves Patton Oswalt, as seen in King of Queens.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love that show.
Great show.
Patton Oswalt is quite the Twitter, person. He's got a Twitter elite, I think they call it. He's got the blue check. He's got over 1 million followers, and he's a very outspoken liberal. Mm-hmm. And so you'll see him, talking shit about Trump and whatever's going on, and currently in politics. And sometimes I'm always shocked by the people like him that have over 1 million followers that still like just respond to normal people like us. It's like
right.
You don't have you're better than us now. You don't have to do this anymore.
Right.
And how many of these just people, obviously, he has millions of followers, so there are plenty of people that love him and are fans of him. But there is when you have that many people, there's a very large number of people that say that they hate you is even kind of too much. Just they disagree with whatever you say, so they just like act like you are not a real person and just like say the worst things.
I mean, they're trolls.
Yeah, that's exactly what a troll is. So anyway, there's a guy named Michael Beatty. And he, I hate how this article even explains it, because it's like saying, oh, he wasn't in the best of moods. It's like, do you understand how trolls work? It's like they do this all day long when they're at parties. They go on their phone and tweet something when they're at work. It's like, it's not like someone's in a bad mood, so they decide to tweet some troll shit. It's like, this is an all-day occurrence.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I was in a bad mood today, so I was going to troll some people. That's not how that works
I was
at
like,
all.
I would love to see, I should have gone to his, I'm sure it's gone now, but I would love to go to his account and just scroll through the replies and see all the replies he has, and to his 25 followers I'm sure he has or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so he's 64 years old, which is hilarious in itself that you're on Twitter like this. Granted, Patton Oswalt's probably like 50. Anyway, he's from Huntsville, Alabama, and he recently got home from a 2-week stay at the hospital. He was pretty sick. He had complications from diabetes and sepsis. And he is... So he was home, they try to paint this whole picture of why he'd be in a situation trolling, but he's a troll. Anyway.
Yeah, trolls are going to troll.
So Patton Oswalt tweeted some critique of Trump. It really doesn't matter what the critique was. Some critique of Trump. And Beatty, the sick guy, replied, I just realized why I was so happy when you died in Blade Trinity. First of all, such a sad, pathetic reference.
Right.
I didn't even know Patton Oswalt was in Blade, the third Blade.
Me either. I haven't even seen the third one.
No, I don't think I have either. And if I have, it was like scrolling past TNT in like high school one night or something. Like, oh, Blade. It's like, oh, wait, this is the third one? Never mind. Anyway, so it was just the saddest of burns, because you're making fun of someone that was, first of all, in a movie. We probably made more money in that movie in 2004 than this guy's made in his whole life. Anyway, why am I shitting on this guy more than I have to?
We're here to spread the love, Jared.
And then after that, he referred to Patton Oswalt as a sawed-off little man, which is true. He's small. Anyway, in an interview Thursday, Beatty said, so Patton saw this, and he looked at, I assume he went to the guy's profile and scrolled through it, and saw that Beatty had a GoFundMe because he's so sick and for all of his medical expenses. And so at the time...
Can I stop you there really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think some of our listeners around the world might not understand what
point.
GoFundMe is. So
or what a GoFundMe for a medical expense is.
Exactly. So in the United States, so many people have such horrible health insurance, or lack thereof. Well, can you not have health insurance? I thought you can go without it, right?
Well, I think there was a time during the Obama administration where there was an alternative for someone that didn't have health insurance. I don't know if that still is a thing.
Yeah, me either. But anyways,
I have health insurance, so I mean it's a privilege. But I don't really.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Also, I know this is supposed to be positive, but it is a shame that in the United States we do not view healthcare as a right, not a privilege.
And it's interesting too. We're talking about this liberal Patton Oswalt getting into a. Argument
war.
Twitter war. Yeah, argument. That's putting it way too nicely. A Twitter war with a conservative that hates Patton Oswalt's politics. and yet this guy is this exact same person that hates his politics is like
has a GoFundMe page for his medical expenses, which is probably caused by a lot of the conservative people in our government.
Exactly. I think that's that's what stopped. That's what was the last government shutdown was about. Is that they refused to budge on
Obamacare
Health Care Act.
Exactly.
But that isn't so. What anyway? So what Oswald did is he donated $2,000 to the GoFundMe and then retweeted it, telling all of his followers to help this dude out. So at the time, but when Oswald donated the $2,000, the GoFundMe was only at a little over $600. And then after Patton Oswalt shouted him out,
Mluvite anglicky.
And sorry, that's what I meant to hit. I need to really get better
I didn't know that Patton Oswalt spoke Czech. Nice. Parada.
So he spread a little love and told all of his followers, to donate to this guy. And he says, he tweeted, "Oh man, this dude just attacked me on Twitter," and I joked back, but then I looked at his timeline, and he is in a lot of trouble health-wise. I'd be pissed off too. He's been dealt some shitty cards. Let's deal him some good ones. Click and donate, just like I'm about to do. So he definitely spread a little love, and I think I'm conflicted because I think we both need more of this in the world, but I also kind of. Sometimes when I see like this quote unquote, like when they do these humanizing situations, then they do the thing where it's like, see, we're just all the same people, and it's just we believe different things. We have to accept people's different beliefs, and I don't believe that for a second.
Okay, so what do you believe?
I mean, I believe there are people that have legitimately shitty views that need to recognize, or just have to live with their shitty views.
Right.
And so this guy claims that it made him rethink about stuff, and who knows if that's true or not. But
right.
It's just
that's a good point.
I think but I think what Patton Oswalt did in this, which was a beautiful thing that he did for this guy, was a sick kind of low-key burn that he did.
Oh, for sure.
Because I think one, it shows how much of it shows it's a great be the bigger person moment, especially
weird
when you
flex, but okay.
Especially when you put your own money up to it. Sorry, I just dropped something. Anyway, and then also it is a subtle way of highlighting the problem with healthcare and the fact that the irony that this hardcore Republican is shitting on these liberal democratic views of trying to get everyone healthcare, yet he is relying on GoFundMe because his healthcare is not good enough to pay for his serious medical conditions.
Right.
That theoretically could be taken care of.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is it cool if I add my 2 cents?
I'm done. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I agree with you that I think a lot of people do need to realize either they need to rethink their views or they just have, as you put it, shitty views. But I do like that, I grew up in a family where, my parents, they're both pretty positive, pretty optimistic. And I remember being told as a little kid, kill them with kindness. It's better to be the bigger person. Obviously, there's, like anything in life, there's always kind of a limit to that. And sometimes you can't always be the bigger person if someone, does something really horrible. There's no reconciling it. But something like this, I think, is, I think it was a great gesture. And
this Michael Beatty guy is not probably an inherently shitty person to the point that he's like actively just ruining society in any other way than voting for Trump.
Right. Exactly.
And voting for other Republicans that ruin society.
Exactly.
I understand the kill him with kindness thing, but I just feel like it's hard for that to work when like not everyone subscribes to that.
Right.
To
and
that
it's not always
lifestyle.
feasible.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's so I think it is a good. I want to make it clear. I think it is a good thing, but I don't know. I'm so pessimistic about society.
Right. Well, Jared, I have one. I have a shout out today, and it goes out to, I think you heard about this, superintendent of an Indiana school. Her name is Casey Smitherman, and she is the superintendent of Elwood Community School. And she was recently charged with insurance. This sounds pretty bad. Insurance fraud, identity deception, insurance application fraud, and official misconduct.
Shout out.
But what she did, things in life are not always as they seem.
Right.
And she got arrested for using her own health insurance to help a sick student. So she put herself out there, put herself at risk to all of these charges to help out a student. To me, as a fellow person who works in education, sometimes, obviously my students are a little too old to be considered my children, right?
Right.
But I can see how, a lot of teachers will call their students, like their second family or their babies,
Yeah.
And teachers really, a lot of them care and will go above and beyond. And this is an example of Miss Smitherman to go above and beyond to help her students. The nice thing is, it looks like she will still keep her job.
That's what I was going to ask. How does the school
which is
react
great.
to it?
And she was bailed out on a $500 cash bond.
Okay, that's not bad. So even though they theoretically had to arrest her, it seemed like also the authorities went pretty easy on her, at least in that part of it.
Right. Well, right here it says the Elwood Community School said in a statement Thursday that Smitherman made an unfortunate mistake, but she still continues to have their support. We understand that it was out of concern for this child's welfare. We know she understands what she did was wrong, but she continues to have our support. You're good.
And you can't imagine parents would have a problem with that either.
Right. It's just too bad though that it has to come to the point where someone like a superintendent has to step in to care for one of the students, that they don't have the support they need at home with their parents or their relatives or anything. But shout out to you, Mrs. or Miss Casey Smitherman, and we hope that everything will be, smoothed over time with all these different charges and everything. Because I think in her heart, she was just trying to lend a helping hand.
Oh, for sure. You see that all the time on various levels, from teachers buying school supplies to teachers bringing in lunch or something like that. Like, you see it on so many levels of where in theory, as someone that works in the corporate world, people bring in donuts or something like that. But actually, say paying for your own supplies, or say your work laptop breaks and you're paying to fix your own work computer or something like that would never happen.
Right. Oh, definitely not.
It's just it shows such a different level of dedication to the job that I think a lot of people that have those cushy cubicle jobs don't even think about.
Right. Oh, not at all. Not one bit.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of those cubicle people just show up and go home, and that's it.
Right. Yeah. Makes a big difference. And I think those are also people who...
I'm one of those people, by the way, just to clarify.
Well, not to shit on you, Jared, but it depends on your job. For you can do that. I think if you work in education, it's difficult to do that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So I have another shout out. Before I do, I'm wondering, do you have any others?
I do. I
want to talk...
I do. That was not an accident. Perfectly timed.
You betcha.
Got another. I need to move. I'm trying to figure out a way to put this. This soundboard is never in a good spot. Anyway, so Germany, one of our favorite countries to talk about. Well, let me start by saying this: Europe in general and some Asian countries like China, and are making huge goals and leaps to improve pollution. And so Germany, a lot of their electricity for a long time has been, I think it says 1% in there somewhere. They're reducing it to, anyway, so a lot of Germany's electricity is sourced by coal. Mm-hmm. And there are 84 coal-fired power plants, that's how you say it, in Germany that they plan on shutting down in the next 19 years. And that's a huge step. And they want to use, cleaner forms of energy that reduce CO2 emissions. I honestly didn't even know coal was still used to that extent.
Yeah, me either.
In the world.
Me either.
Because is coal used for electricity like that in America? I don't even know. Oh, it is?
I think so. I mean, I know at Michigan State they have their own power plant, and you can see tons of coal.
Interesting.
So,
I
yeah.
have seen I feel like I remember seeing the power plant.
Yeah, we've definitely driven by it before.
Okay. Yeah. So it's according to Ronald Pofalla, chairman of the 28-member government commission, at a news conference in Berlin. He said this is a historic moment. It was anything but a sure thing, but we did it. So he's essentially saying like this is not an easy thing to do, especially like 19 years. Yeah, in like human years, it seems like a good amount of time. But like when you're powering it like an entire country off of this, and it takes some time to wean yourself off of that while you're building up infrastructure that can handle what the coal is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah, and
it's a good step in the future.
There are a lot of aggressive plans for that stuff all over the world, and I think that's cool. And you would hope that other countries would take note, but it doesn't seem to be sticking.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I think things will change. All right. Well, I have one last shout out, and this is an amazing story. This is a story about a black gentleman named Altavius Powell who used his...
That's a great name.
It is, isn't it? Altavius is a pretty sweet name.
That's powerful.
So Altavius Powell apparently has a broken arm. The way this... I just have to read this, the way the story starts. Where was it? A man with a broken arm proved not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they wear casts. So Altavius Powell has a broken arm.
No, the writer was real proud of that line.
Oh, I'm sure they were. But he used his cast to smash through a window in his elderly neighbor's house to save her from a fire in Miami Gardens, Florida. So, yeah. So he ran towards the home of his neighbor. And his neighbor is a 93-year-old woman named Maria Cabral. And he smelled smoke. He started hitting a window with his cast and a plastic chair until the window broke and he was able to get in. Powell said he found Cabral in the hallway by her bathroom. She was alone. I grabbed her with one arm, Powell said. She looked back at me and just said, thank you. And then the fire rescue said when the firefighters arrived at the scene, they found smoke coming from the one-story home, but no visible flames. Once the crews were inside, they determined Powell had put out the main body of fire. So not only did this guy get in there, save this woman, but also fought the fire himself.
What?
Yeah. And so Cabral, the woman he saved, his neighbor, was taken to the hospital and treated for smoke inhalation.
How do you put out a fire like that?
It doesn't say. Doesn't say.
I feel like you need to be trained. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, it depends what the fire is. I mean, if it's,
I guess.
If it's like...
I guess we could see it clearly, but I feel like that takes training.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe there's unless there was like a fire extinguisher handy or something.
Right. Yeah. Could be. But I mean, there's like a picture of the house, and it definitely looks like, the walls are all black from all the smoke and everything. So, but you know what though, man, I gotta say, this story is it's a great story. So shout out to you, Altavius Powell, for helping out a neighbor. But this story, I know we're trying to spread the love here, but this story could have had a lot of negative consequences. If you think about somebody breaking the window of a house, people, if you see that on face value, you're probably going to think they might be trying to rob them, right?
Right, especially a black guy in America.
Exactly, and so I'm really glad that this story has a happy ending and not man was trying to save his neighbor and got gunned down by the police,
And then neighbor burned to death in the house or something like that.
Exactly.
Have you ever broken a bone before?
I have not. Well, my collarbone, but that healed itself.
Right.
Have you?
Because I broke my wrist, and when I was in 6th grade, and I definitely not considered, but wondered what it would like when it wished I could break something
with the cast.
like as soon as he said he broke that window, I was like, oh yeah, I've definitely walked past cars and be like, I could just crack.
Yeah, with the cast, just boom.
Yeah,
that's true.
Kind of like from Too Fast, Too Furious, where Tyrese takes off his shirt and wraps it around his fist and punches the Ferrari window, and then Paul Walker just opens the door and says, "You could put your blouse back on." I love that line. That's great.
I've been getting into, actually I finished it, watching the 2nd season of The Punisher on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
and
that's a good show.
It's great. And there's a part where he wraps a belt around his hand and his wrist. to like block
Yes.
and stuff.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's a good idea. I
pretty-
need to keep
pretty
that in
cool
mind. I'm
stuff,
sure
right?
it doesn't work in real life.
Probably not, but
My
looks.
target belt would just be destroyed.
Oh, mine would be done too, for sure, without a doubt.
One slice, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's just falling off. You cut it off. It's
Exactly.
That did not work. I have one more story, and this is not, I guess it's kind of a shout out, but it's more just, I relate heavy to the story. Like, real heavy. So this kid, his name is Patch Hurdy. No, he was not born in the 1920s. And no, he's not the owner of a bubble gum company. His name is Patch Hurdy, and he is a 5-year-old, or he was 5, let's put it this way. He was 5 when he found his first car badge on the side of a road, and it was a Ford badge. When I was in Albion College, I was crossing the road to go back to Wesley, and on the ground, I saw a Ford badge. And I had that shit for the longest time. I actually went to go find it. I don't know where it is. I lost it.
Oh, bummer.
It might still be somewhere in here, but I don't know where to look right now. But I found a Ford badge on the side of the road too, just like Patch. Okay, I don't mean to laugh at this kid's name, but his name is Patch Hurdy.
Yeah.
So he loves cars. He was pumped to find this little badge that he found, and then he started liking badges. So he was hitting up all the as many distributors as he could find because, as they say in the article, you can't just hang around waiting for a Bugatti badge to shake loose from a passing Chiron.
Right. Probably not.
So what do? You send a letter to every car company and see what happens, and that's what this little whippersnapper did. He sent a letter to a bunch of car companies with a picture of him next to like a car badge. So say it's a Volvo, next to his face next to the front of a Volvo. Mm-hmm. And then he also sent like a penny, which to me, I guess people might think it's cute. I kind of find it insulting. Like if I were to get that penny, I'd be like, this cost way more than that.
Right.
Granted, with economies of scale, it probably only costs like 5 cents for a badge anyway. To be honest with you, it's probably actually not that expensive now that I think about it, because they have millions of these.
Right. Probably
so
trillions of them.
Not trillions. No.
Billions?
They would not have trillions. No.
No, all right.
They
All right,
probably
we'll
have
stick with
millions, but they would not have trillions. Do you realize the jump from millions to trillions? That's
a huge jump.
Billions.
I know. Anyways, this is why I'm not a mathematician, Jared.
I don't even think they have billions of them. You skip that altogether. That just seems like bad business model at that point. It's like, I think we have too many badges.
Good thing I'm not a car company CEO,
huh? Stop making badges.
Sir, should we be making cars? No, all we need are badges. More car badges.
Oh my God. We have warehouses full of badges. No car to put them on. So he got, I can't even see anymore. I'm laughing so hard. So he got badges from companies like, oh my God, that's hilarious. He got badges from companies like BMW. He got a drawing from Lincoln of the first Lincoln Continental drawing, which is hilarious because it looks like, at first when I saw the picture before I actually read the article, and I was like, oh, look, Patch sent the
a drawing?
Lincoln a drawing of a car in hopes for a badge. And I was like, oh, Lincoln sent you that? I was like, oh, geez, that's not that great. I feel like my cousin used to like to draw cars, and he could easily do that. But it's still nice, I guess. I don't know why I'm shitting on these companies. He got, and he hit up, it's not just like, yeah, BMW is it's a nice company, but it's a pretty generic company. He got a badge from Tesla, by the way. As someone that works with electric cars and hybrids and stuff, Tesla is one of the hardest companies to get car parts from if you have a breakdown or get into an accident.
Really?
So it's cool to see that a badge, I'm sure, it's not as big of a deal as like a motor or something, but it's still cool to see that they did it too. Bugatti, which is obviously fancy.
Right.
Honda and many more. And then Lincoln sent an original sketch, which looked like it was drawn by the head designer's little son or daughter. And so, yeah, that's cool. He also hit up some brands that don't even sell like Suzuki and stuff, which seems kind of insulting as well. But, yeah, so I just think it's cool. I love that. I also have a Volkswagen badge on my office. My boss gave it to me
Speaking
a couple
of
years
which,
ago. I just love to see like someone with that big of a hobby like that. That's always fun.
Right.
Because I was that kid.
It reminded
send out for
me
badges,
of you when
but
I
was
saw that
kid. Yeah, like you could probably find pictures of me. There's a little picture of Patch here with all of his little cars that he's playing with. That was me, for sure.
Oh, I believe it. I could see that. Also, buddy, speaking of which, when I see you in Michigan, if you're willing and able, I'd like to have a stick shift lesson with you. I've driven them like 4 or 5 times in my life, but I'd like to gain a little bit more practice in case I need to drive a stick shift in the near future.
Okay, then you definitely got me in, because like I tried to teach. I was about to say the last time I tried to teach someone was our friend Guardo. Eric. And he just wanted to learn, and it was painful. But like he wasn't like I don't know if I'm not a good teacher or he wasn't listening. I think I'd be a better teacher now though, because one, I'm older. And like I've just done it for so much longer that I feel like I understand it better to explain it, and I'm more patient. And so yeah, I would do that. Sure.
Did I ever tell you where the first time I ever drove a stick shift was?
Where's that?
It was in Montana, in this town that's in the foothills of a mountain.
It's a good place to learn, but it's also scary. I'm sure a lot of hills.
And it was a Ford Ranger, one of those smaller Ford trucks.
Yep.
And man, I was with my cousin.
Basic as hell.
And my cousin didn't really tell me anything. He was just like, all right, here's the clutch, here's the gas. This is the first gear you need to get it in. Here's neutral. Oh, I stalled that thing like crazy. I don't know how I didn't ruin my uncle's clutch. But the thing is I didn't realize that, when you drive a manual, I had no idea that when you hit the gas, the car's a lot louder than an automatic car. And
right.
You know what I mean? When you're engaging
I see what you're saying.
You're disengaging the clutch and hitting the gas, right? And so every time I do it, I'd hear the engine start to rev, and I'd pull back off the gas, and then it would stall. So it's like learning that balance between the clutch and the gas.
The way I would teach is the first thing I would say is you have to understand that there's like an engagement point of where the clutch will disengage. So there's a specific point that you can hit that's too far. Right. And so, but before you hit that point, you'll be letting off the clutch and the car will start to roll. And so first you find that point where it starts to roll, and you find that point where it's rolling without hitting the gas and you're not stalling.
Right.
And then after that, you learn to ease in the gas so you can easily switch between it. And then switching gears is like, actually, once you're moving, switching gears is the easiest part.
Right. And I remember that because then a few years later, my friend had a Honda Accord that was a manual.
Hondas are great to learn on. Those are the best manuals.
It seemed a lot smoother than that Ford Ranger.
For sure. I mean, the Ford Ranger is a shitty truck.
Right. But yeah, so that was my experience
I'll teach you. Yeah, sure.
Sweet. Well, buddy, one thing you should not be doing when you're driving a stick shift is drinking a tasty beer. So I think it's time for us to move to our beer of the pod. And I found a special one today. Like I've mentioned on previous episodes, my options are starting to get a little thin here. But I went to a different grocery store and I found this cool looking horse can beer. And it's from Ostrava, which is in the very east, almost
why do you
borders.
I was going to say, why do you call it a horse can? But I see. There's a horse on it.
Yeah, there's a horse on it.
I thought it was like weirdly big or something at first, but I see it now.
Nope, just a half liter as usual. And this company started in 1897, and it was 4.8 alcohol by volume. Now, I wish I could tell you what this says. I mean, I can kind of take a guess. So here it's like basically, like, what's the tradition of this beer? Like, how they make it, right?
Oh, so right. You can kind of see from the pictures.
Exactly. Step 1, they have the hops and I believe the malt as well. Step 2 is when they, I think, have the yeast in there.
And that's how you do it, everyone.
Step 3, I'm not really sure. I think it's like filtered, and then it says right there, Nastravi. Do you remember what that means, Jared?
Cheers.
There you go.
And that's how you make beer, everyone.
Exactly. That's easy, nice and easy. So we'll give this a try. This is as usual, a Czech style ale. Let me pour it out here so you can see it as well, Jared. Has a nice color to it. I already like the color. It has a nice golden hue. Can you still hear me, even though the beer's blocking my...
No, you're good. I'll give you a break when you're pouring.
And I have to say, has a good head on there.
Yeah, that was a great pour.
That
was a perfect pour.
Was a
You
good
need to
pour.
Take a picture of that.
Oh, that's true. Better take a quick one before the
Yeah.
foam goes down. Good call.
So Chad is currently taking a selfie of him. If you want to see him taking the selfie or watch us record this podcast, go to our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast on YouTube, and you can see us in video, actually our moving figures.
That's right. We are real people, believe it or not.
Yeah, as Chad likes to say, we're not simulations.
Exactly.
Unless
So,
you took the red pill, then you know that we actually are simulations. Then we can't fool you.
That is,
Or is it blue
that's
pill?
true.
Which one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That's a good
I
question.
don't remember which one takes you back to ignorance and fake life.
Probably the
I think
red
that
one, but I'm
blue.
not sure.
Okay.
There's also a really interesting documentary on Netflix called The Red Pill, and it's about the
heard
men's
the
suffrage movement. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's talking about men's rights activists.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard red pill explained okay.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I've seen it. Yeah.
What'd
Yeah.
you think?
It was interesting. I mean, they brought up some points, but I just
Was it produced by supporters
well, here's the thing. It
of
was
the men's rights activists?
No. So here's the crazy thing about it is and I'll get into the beer review in just a second. But the thing about the Red Pill documentary, it was actually filmed by a woman who is a feminist, and she wanted to see what it was all about. And so she had a lot of interviews with men's rights activists, and I mean they argue about a lot of things that are true. You know, men have a much higher rate of suicide. You know, men in much larger numbers die in war.
Oh, and work. Oh, yeah,
and work as
in
well.
general.
Work as well.
Yeah.
Men also are more likely to receive harsher sentences for crimes. Which, I mean, a lot of these things are true, but I think a lot of them are so culturally ingrained. Like, to me, like, I don't mean for this to sound sexist, but I feel uncomfortable with the idea of having, if you know, we were sent off to war, right? And we would force women to also be on the front. I mean, I think if you're captured, you know, there's a lot worse things I think that could happen to women than men.
And I think a big factor is that, at least that I would be interested to hear their opinion on, not that I care, but I'd just be interested to hear what they have to say, is that one of the biggest risks to women is men.
Right.
But it seems like one of the biggest risks to men
is also
either
men.
other men or themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like that's a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. Anyways, we can talk about. It might be interesting to do an episode on, you know, feminism around the world and men's rights.
Yeah, let's get a woman
activists.
in for that episode.
Well,
We're not.
obviously.
You and I are not doing that by ourselves.
No. We wouldn't be the right people to do it. Anyways, though, it's time for my beer review, and I have to tell you, man, this beer reminds me a lot of the previous beer, the Conrad beer I did, and I think it's just the nature of the beast. Both of these are these Czech-style ales, Světlý ležák, as it says here.
Was that Czech style ale?
Ležák is, I'm pretty sure that's like the Czech-style ale. What we would call in the States a Pilsner.
Right.
That's what we would call it.
Right.
But don't be using that around the Czech Republic.
I'm glad you actually have you've fooled me though, because I used to get on you for being so afraid to use Pilsner, but I've now fully adopted Czech style ale as the term.
Perfect. I have to say though, man, this is good. I like it. It's really smooth. I would say that the Conrad was smooth, but it had a little bit more hops to it. This one, there's not quite as much of a hops taste.
You prefer the less amount of hops?
Let me put it this way. I think I would drink this one by itself, and I would prefer a more hoppy one if I'm having some food.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's just where I'm at with it.
It is what it is.
That's right. But it's pretty good.
Okay.
I'm going to attempt to pronounce this. Jeden Actka Ostrovar is the beer today. And pretty good. You can find it, if you're in the Czech Republic, you can find it at your local Tesco. Otherwise, good luck.
I kind of feel sad for these Europeans that are so limiting, or like they're so limited on their beer variety.
Yeah.
I wonder how these sort of German or Czech beer purists would feel about a trip to
like Bell's
like
Brewery,
all these microbrews we
Dark
have.
Horse. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a cherry wheat ale from Dark Horse. They'd be like, "What? Wheat? You can't put cherries in wheat ale.
Right.
You've ruined it."
Right.
It's like,
Right.
This is good.
That's true. Well, but see, the funny thing is, I know in Germany, craft brewing is actually starting to gain some steam. I think people are starting to realize that although beer is really good with the 4 ingredients from the purity law, the 1516 Reinheitsgebot,
It's very
as they call
limiting.
it. Yeah, it's very limiting. And you can still have good beer with those ingredients, but sometimes it's nice to, broaden your horizons, drop some cherries in that wheat beer. Why not? Why not? But it's pretty good. Half out of that heifer. That's darn tootin'.
Anyway, that's good. I like it. I'm glad. I'm interested to see where the Beer the Pod reviews is gonna go from your side, because I understand the struggle for you.
So I have,
as I mentioned, for me all the time, it's very easy for me to find these stuff still.
You just need to send me a box of beer from Philly. There you go. Or bring them
That
in your
sounds
suitcase.
real expensive.
Right. But, well, I do have a crazy idea, and I wanted to float this by you, and we might as well do it on air.
Happening?
I was thinking, once I run out of beers, which who knows when that will be,
Okay.
I was thinking I could either do a Radler review, because there's lots of different types of Radlers,
Okay.
or they also have a lot of different types of alcohol-free beer here.
Oh, okay.
But I think the Radler would be better.
We were talking with someone about alcohol-free beer a while ago, and I always heard that, I always heard that Heineken alcohol-free beer is better than a lot of beers.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. Granted, I heard it from a sober alcoholic, so maybe they're just they'll take anything.
Right. Yeah, could be.
But yeah, so he was saying that he's like, yeah, it's like I never thought to drink a alcohol-free Heineken until I was sober, but I was surprised that I actually really enjoyed it. And it's hard for me to, I don't want to say waste my money on alcohol-free beer, but it's hard for me to go to a store and buy alcohol-free beer. But I'm curious to see if that's actually true. So if you will do it, we
can keep that in mind. Actually, dude, it's funny. I drink these a lot.
Oh, right. I forgot about those.
I will usually have one of these for lunch because they're alcohol-free. It's a Radler, so it's half lemonade, half beer, and it's half alcoholic-free beer. And it's really good. Really good for lunch. Don't have the same effects as if it was an actual alcoholic beer. So
right
there you go.
Are there coworkers at your work? Is it normal to drink beer with lunch?
I don't think people would bat an eye.
Or accepted, socially accepted.
Yeah. I don't think people would really bat an eye if you had a beer for lunch. I don't think so. I mean, I've heard that in Germany they do that too. Right. Well, I don't really like to drink. Honestly, man, I think I drink more beer doing this Beer the Pod now than anything else. Usually at my apartment, I won't drink because the beer here is so good on tap and it's so affordable.
Right.
I pay 2 or 3 crowns more for a beer on tap than I might pay at the grocery store for a can or a bottle. So at that point, it's like, give me that freshness. Give me that tasty, fresh tapped Czech ležák.
Exactly.
Well, buddy, talk that calf out of that heifer.
Shit, I meant to change Výborný. That's what I meant. I'm going to change it right now.
There you go. Go for it. While you do that, I would like to... Well, first of all, do you know what time it is?
Yeah, let me do that first. I do know what time it is.
So I have...
It's time.
That's right. You better believe it. So I have a couple untranslatables. I'm going to start you off with a Spanish one, though, today, Jared. I figured time to change it up. And this one is puente. And puente means bridge.
Okay. Bridge.
But they use it in a different meaning as well, in Spain.
Could you give me, because just on its own, could you give me some sort of context on that?
So I could say, for example, I'm trying to think of an example.
Does it have anything to do with building a bridge or say like
it has to do with
extending an olive branch?
Or it it has to do with holidays and vacation.
Oh, is it like a kind of like a gap year or something like that, or like
no
a bridge?
No, it has to do with time though.
Is it like
you're on
when
the
you
right
get
track?
back? Oh, it has to do with time. So it's not like when you get back from a trip, and it's like the time between you getting back from a trip and going back to work.
Well, it could be if say you have work on Tuesday because you have a holiday, and then you will, say Tuesday is a holiday, but you still have to come to work on Monday.
Oh, is that the bridge?
That's the bridge when you take that day off. So it gives you that extra time. Off? Yeah. So, like for example, when Thursday is a holiday, Thursday is a holiday, and you take off Friday to bridge the holiday for the whole weekend.
Yes.
Or if Monday you have to be at work, but Tuesday there's a national holiday, you just say, "Fuck it, I'm taking that Monday off." That's the bridge, the puente.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Oh yeah, that's great. By the way, those days to me always seem to be the longest. Those days where, like, say you have Thursday and Friday off. For example, if it's Thanksgiving, and you have Thursday and Friday off, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday seems to go by so much. Like it seems to go by like a normal week.
It's true.
Because it's just like you're going to be free so soon. And it's and it's like the work never seems to be as good in those 3 days,
right? Because it just drags. You're just waiting.
Yeah,
for
and some people are already gone too.
Right, they're taking that bridge, man. You got to take advantage of it.
Exactly. I do that sometimes when I do if I'm doing say a trip and it like we have a lot of holidays here in the U.S. where we get a Monday off, like Labor Day, Memorial Day. And so what I'll do is I'll make it an extra long weekend and like
take
say
Friday
leave
off?
Friday morning.
Yeah, that's what you
use that Friday as my bridge.
Exactly. Yeah, when I saw this one, I thought this was great since we're talking about vacations and travel later. So
yeah, that is good. I like that one. Mine are not as fitting, but I like them nonetheless.
You always pick good ones.
My first one's Bulgarian. I promised this one to you guys because our last episode was so long. Azne iskam azdasum dobre. That one.
Oh yeah, I got that one. Yep, good.
And even I recognized it. By the way, I was kind of impressed with myself there. Excuse me, I'll start over. Azne iskam azdasum dobre anna vute da mu esle. And that means I don't want to feel good, which is dobre. I want my neighbor to feel bad.
Oh, is this kind of like Schadenfreude? Like the joy of someone else's pain?
Yeah, kind of.
All right.
But it's essentially saying you rather see your neighbor be worse off than you than you doing well, essentially.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's pretty shitty.
Right.
Like it's a pretty shitty attitude to have on life.
Yeah,
but
that's Schadenfreude, basically.
According
Joy
to
in
the
other people's pain. Continue. Sorry.
Where I got you're good. Where I got this from, the writer said a Bulgarian writer once told me, if no one hates you in Bulgaria, you are no one. You are a zero. Your neighbors have an expensive car, earns more money, and fucks good-looking women. He surely deserves rotten fish to be thrown in his garden for having a better lifestyle than you.
Well then. Somebody must have gotten wrong or something. Exactly. Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, Jared, I figured I'd go out on a limb today, and I got 2 Czech ones for you.
Ooh.
So here we go. Parada. And you know what? I'll stick with our theme of weekends from the last one, from our puente for bridge. And this is Nyayaki ten patek. And patek means Friday. And it just means like some Friday. Some Friday. Yeah. What do you think that means?
You ain't got shit to do. You ain't got no job. Friday. It means some Friday?
Some Friday. Mm-hmm.
So is that like almost like TGIF for Czech people?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
And I don't know why they use this, but do you have any other guesses before I reveal it?
By the way, no, but I'll say this. TGIF for all of our non-American listeners is how we sometimes, no one says it anymore, but it's thank God it's Friday. Or if you're a good Christian, God-fearing person, thank goodness.
Oh,
I
thank
would say
goodness.
But
There
I guess
go.
you could do good gosh too.
Okay, nice. So some Friday, this is when you use this phrase for something that's been going on for a while. Like, oh yeah, I'll get you those reports. Yeah, okay, some Friday you will. But I think it can also mean you also like know the ins and outs of something, right? So I could, like, you know me really well, Jared. If I said, oh yeah, I'll post that Instagram post tomorrow morning, no problem. You go, yeah. Some Friday. Like, yeah,
you'll post that some Friday.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Nyajaki ten pátek.
I can't think of what it is, but we do have something very similar to that in English. Where it's essentially saying like sometime in the made up future, essentially.
Right. Once in a blue moon? No, that's something different.
That's not really the same thing.
Yeah,
that
that's
means
different.
you do something every now and again. Not really.
Right.
It's like you say you're going to do it, and then it's like, yeah, but when are you going to do it? That's a little different.
Right.
My next one is Arabic, and it's Alien Ma Tella Ian Al Hajib. And it literally means the eye doesn't rise over the eyebrow.
The eye doesn't rise over the eyebrow.
Right. The eye, and I'll give you a little bit of a clue. The eye does not rise over the eyebrow. The eye is it has a specific place that it's impossible for that eye to move from.
So it's just like you're stuck with your, basically.
I fucked you up.
You did? Okay.
A little bit.
I was
yeah.
just going to say there's only like so much you can do, like so much you can control.
Kind of. I'll give it to you.
All right.
I think it's a little bit more to the point of know your place.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
So you're on the right track.
Eye doesn't belong above the eyebrow. Know your place.
But
that makes sense.
I think it's a more direct, like, easy there, fella. Like,
right. The eye doesn't go above the eyebrow.
rise over the eyebrow.
Right.
Relax.
Right. Gotcha. Well, here, this one is also kind of fitting. So this one is Dutch ke chasu jako husa klasu, which sounds nice, and it means bide your time like a goose that waits for corn.
It means you're like bad at time management?
Not quite. This is something that my dad definitely would have told me when I was a little kid.
It's like don't idle hands, like don't sit idly.
Nope.
Okay.
Here I would think being idle would be a good thing based on this. Wait.
Oh, is it saying like calm down, relax?
Yeah, kind of. It basically means
be patient.
Like, exactly. Don't be so impatient.
Okay. Oh, I could imagine you being an impatient kid.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since you're not fully an only child, but you kind of grew up as an only child because your siblings are so much older than you.
Exactly.
I could definitely imagine you you being a mom.
Right. Exactly. Well, do you have any more untranslatables today, buddy?
One more, and this one is Norwegian, and it's ovare pling I bolon. And it means to be a ping in the bowl. A ping in the bowl.
Is it like a ping, like a chip, or like what?
No, like a ping. So
like
say it's
ping?
like a metal bowl, and you drop a piece of a rock in there.
Oh God, I don't even know where to begin.
To be a ping in the bowl.
Is that to be an outsider, or to be like someone like you catch someone's attention?
Think of it first. I'll let you know that it's an insult. So think of it as an insult.
Okay. So it's like being obnoxious.
No. Think about the bowl representing your head.
So is it like you got dropped on your head as a baby?
No. It just means you're stupid. So it's like there's no brain in there, and so if you were to drop something in there, it would just be a hollow sound. Yeah.
Okay. There was a pig in my bowl to try to figure that one out, I would say.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. I like that one. Nice. Well, Jared, I think it's time we get into the meat and potatoes of our episode today. And I want to just come out and ask you, where are some places you want to travel to? Not necessarily in the near future, but just what are like do you have like a bucket list of places you want to?
We'll start with the bucket list. Everyone in my family has gone to South America, whether I think both Brazil and Argentina. My mom has gone mostly for work, so she hasn't really enjoyed it, but she still said it's a beautiful country. And my dad's been for work, but it seemed like he partied the whole time.
Nice. I like where
like
your
it's so
dad's
funny.
at.
It's so funny. My parents used to work at the same company when we lived in Germany for a bit, and it's so funny hearing my mom's business trip where it's like her driver took her to and from the hotel and office, and my dad's like went to parties and like he's like saw live music.
That's awesome. I feel like you would probably be more like your dad, right?
I would hope to be. But anyway, so I would love to go to Brazil or Argentina. I think that's a culture that I've never experienced anything similar to that before. Like, I grew up mostly in Michigan, so we don't even like. There's no sort of, not no sort of. That's the wrong thing to say. There's not a big sort of Latin American culture of whether forget Brazil and Argentina specifically.
Right.
There's not a big Latin American culture in Michigan, and so I just haven't spent a lot of time in that culture, and I think that would be cool. And Brazil is known for their music. They're known for their food. I love meat. They eat a lot of meat. From what I've heard, the women there are beautiful. I like women, so that's cool.
A lot of positives about Brazil for you. Yeah, the music's great. Also, amazing soccer there.
Yes,
as well.
Yes, I love soccer. And so Brazil is on the top of my list. Argentina too. For some reason I feel like I prefer Brazil. I don't know why. But
a lot of our Brazilian listeners will be happy to hear that because Brazil and Argentina have some serious beef.
Oh, I know. Because once again, I'm a huch soccer fan.
Exactly.
It's an aggressive beef.
I think you probably remember we used to play FIFA at my apartment with my friend Krishna, and Krishna is Brazilian. And I would always pick Argentina, and he would get so mad if I would beat him. He usually beat me though, but it was just so funny. Like I could get him so riled up just by choosing Argentina,
just through a video game. Just imagine if that was real life,
right? Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, that is definitely a bucket list that I've had for a while, even before I was in a place where I could even consider buying flights on my own. Like when I heard my parents or my sister when she went when I was in high school, I was like, "Oh, that sounds so cool." So that would be cool. Another place I like to go to after that North Carolina trip, I really enjoyed hiking. Excuse me, not hiking. I mean, I enjoyed hiking too, but the camping part is what I enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed both of it, the hiking and camping. I would like to do that on a bigger scale. So not just it was a great day hike that we did. In North Carolina. It was not even a half-day hike that we did in North Carolina. And a lot of smaller ones, which were great. I loved it. It was a great trip. But I would like to do a bigger trip like that, and maybe in, I'm not going to claim that I'm ready to do it in like Tanzania along Kilimanjaro or anything like that. Or like, yeah, I love to go to Nepal and hit up, go to Tibet and hit up the mountains over there and camp. And I'm not. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not prepared for that.
Right.
But I think it would be cool to go to like Switzerland or Austria or something. And
that'd be great.
And I'm also a big mountain biking fan. And this is something I've done before. I've done the mountain biking, but I would love to go and make it. I always say this, but there's a difference, at least to me, in going with my family as a kid and then experiencing it more as an adult.
Sure,
and
of course.
really being able to, even though like that was all biking and I loved it, it is nice to be able to sort of curate your trip a little bit better, who you're with, what you do, and have more free time at night to actually do stuff.
Without a doubt.
So that would be cool. I would love to do a camping. And I say, I have a plan to go to Europe, and we'll talk about that. But I think the actual camping part of it is more of a farther down the road dream because it takes a little bit more preparation.
Oh, absolutely.
And I probably want to do it with friends and not by myself.
Right. Oh, yeah, that would be really, really bad.
So those are just a couple. I actually have more, but those are a couple that just... of those bucket list places that I've had on my list. What about you?
Those are some great places. So for me, hands down number one is Santiago, Chile. because as you may have remembered, one of my best friends from high school grew up in Santiago, Chile, and he's living there still. So shout out to my buddy Robert. He's actually the one who taught me how to do the r.
Right.
So big,
I'm very
big
familiar.
deal. Big deal. Played tennis with him
Much
all
like
throughout
your
high
mom
school.
is very familiar.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, so Chile would be great. And you have everything there. You have the mountains, you have the sea. I forget the name of this place, but they also have there's like a hotel that has the longest pool in the entire world. It's like this pool is
wow.
like probably not a mile long, but like it looks super long.
I was
going
to say miles.
Maybe it is. I don't know. But so Chile would be one of them. I also have a really, really good friend in Brazil as well. And so Brazil's on that list. Then
And I think the good thing about places that like that, where they're even planning them is at least to me seems hard to do if you don't really know the place. It's great that you have friends in those two places, especially friends that you're close with that are happy to show you around.
Right. Oh, yeah, it makes a huge difference. And plus, I don't speak very much Spanish. I don't really speak any Portuguese, so it's helpful to have those friends.
It's kind of important to have that in some of these countries too, because Brazil and Argentina, if you're in big, they're plenty safe, but it seems like it's you have to sort of know how to. And Chile's included, like South America in general, I think. Like it's generally safe, but you kind of have to know how to where you're going, and like it seems like that's an important place to sort of have someone. Like if you're planning it, at least plan it with someone that knows the country well or something. Right. It seems like that.
Oh yeah.
From what I've heard.
Well, I think it just makes everything so much. The stress levels are significantly lower.
Right.
There's less.
You
to
can
worry
enjoy
about.
it more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some
if
other
your
places
stuff
though,
is safe and
other places that I would love to go visit. I don't know why, but ever since freshman or sophomore year of college, I've always wanted to check out India. I think some of it came from our German professor talking about India.
Oh, what did he say about India?
He had been to India and he really enjoyed it.
Okay. Okay.
And the other
That's
thing,
another one of those very different experiences.
right? And that's why I think it would be really interesting to go there. And then the other thing about India that I would like is, as you know, Jared, I think you remember, I have a sitar back in the United States, and I do really like Hindustani music,
I know that.
which is like Indian classical music.
Right.
And so it used to drive my roommate Mitchell crazy because I would listen to it when I would do homework. And so he'd come back to our room in Wesley and be like, "What is this shit?" And I was like, "I'm doing homework," because it kind of puts you in like this trance, right?
I mean, that sounds so like I didn't know this about you, but that makes so much sense.
Right.
Is that so you should bring some of the stuff you like to listen to for a Song of the Pot sometime.
Oh, easily. No problem.
Is that also the sort of the singing where it's the sort of the high pitched sort of like
I think some.
Do they do
I
that?
think some Indian music has it.
By the way, I'm so sorry. To all of our listeners, I am so sorry.
I know what you mean.
But I didn't know how to explain it.
No, I know what you mean. I think so. I think it depends on the style. A lot of the stuff that I listen to, it's all instrumental.
Okay.
Mostly it's mostly Ravi Shankar, who sadly has passed away.
Oh, I've heard that name before. What are the percussion instruments used?
Tablas. I can't do the sounds, but yeah, they're called the tablas, and they have that like.
Is it like a hand drum?
Yeah,
of
there are
sorts?
usually two of them. There's two of them, and there's one of them where you can like roll your palm down the drum, and it makes like a doom. And then if you hit the rim, it's more like a I can't even do it, but it's like a hit,
almost like a bongo kind of sound.
Yeah, or even like a snare hit, or like a rim shot on a snare drum.
Gotcha.
Like it's like a sharper, more crisp. But yeah, so India would be great.
So would you would bring your sitar?
No, that thing is huge.
Oh, okay.
But I think if I stayed there for longer than a week, I would try to take sitar lessons. I think that would be a really cool cultural experience. But here's the problem, man. The way you're supposed to hold a sitar is you need to. So if you play it right-handed, which your right hand is the one that will pluck the strings, and your left hand's the fretting hand to push down on the strings, right? Your left leg is supposed to wrap under and around your body, and your foot is where you place the sitar. So you got to be flexible.
Oh, so that's why they always sit like that.
Yep. You got to be flexible. I am not that flexible. So the like Westerner way to sit is you sit on like a really wide chair and you rest the sitar right next to you. You kind of use your forearm to keep it in place, which is the way that I try to play.
If you really want to master the sitar, it seems like you need to take up meditation and yoga.
Yep, 100%. I think you would need to anyways to get in the right mindset to really create the music. And the cool thing about Hindustani music is, if I remember correctly, I've read a couple books about it, and the scale.
I did not know you were this into Hindustani music to where you're reading books and listening to it all when you're studying for hours.
And so
I didn't know that.
So I forget the name of the scale, but there's a specific scale, and they use a different scale.
Harmonic,
ascending.
melodic.
Well, no, they're not. They're not Western scales. And there's like an Indian. There's a Hindi word for the scale, but ascending, meaning going up, is different than descending. So the notes are different. So in a way, it's kind of like a harmonic minor, where harmonic minor.
So they have their own music language.
Oh yeah. They have their and also we have a different way to count rhythm, right? We count it by usually like a certain amount of eighth notes or quarter notes, like 3/4 would be 1 2 3 1 2 3, right? Like
beats to the measure and then beats to the quarter note.
Well, in Hindustani music, it's actually in cycles. So they'll count to something like 16, 18, 24, and then go over the cycle again. Yeah, so it's really different.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I sometimes I mess up in 3/4.
Right.
Where I'm like 1 2 3 4. Shit, this is 3/4.
Right. Exactly. So that's why I think India would be a great place to visit. I would just love to see a lot of Asia. Like I've kind of teased the idea about maybe teaching English in South Korea for a year, just because it would be, or also in Macau as well, just because it would be such an interesting experience to see all these different places. Obviously, I would probably feel incredibly lost because of the language, right? Like, my Spanish isn't very good, but it's decent enough where I think I would be able to understand like a third or maybe...
but I mean, you moved to the Czech Republic where you knew literally nothing.
That's a good point.
Even though the language seems so much more daunting, how much more lost would you be, especially upon arrival, than when you were in the Czech Republic?
That's true. I guess the difference is that here I can still look up words and we have a similar alphabet. Whereas if I'm in Korea or Thailand...
You mentioned that you can do it with cameras now.
Right. Yeah, you can.
But that's a good point. You could at least type in letters that you recognize.
So,
the one thing that I was trying to figure out, like, what country I wanted to visit, because Asia. I mean, I want to hit every continent. Like anyone that wants to that enjoys traveling, I'm sure, ideally would like to see every continent.
Antarctica included.
Of course.
All right. Chill with some penguins.
Some friends there. Polar bear friends there. They promise not to eat me.
Best of luck with that.
So the one thing that so I was thinking about it, and I'm not like places like Thailand and Vietnam, I would be interested in, but they don't seem like my first choice because I'm not like a tropical like beach kind of person, really.
Okay, gotcha.
And then but I think their food is like in Thailand, for example. I think their food is. I think I'd be more accustomed to than say if I were to go to Korea or China or Japan or something like that.
Yeah, could be.
It's I'm very like you and I are both kind of picky eaters, and I would really like to personally just like fully get over that. I'm always jealous of those people that are like, try it, then say, what is this? Those kind of people.
Yeah, I can't do that. I totally cannot do that.
But I think in certain countries, and this is not just an Asian thing, but in certain countries, you're going to have food put down in front of you. And I don't want to be one of those people where it's like, oh, I don't want to try that. I don't know, that looks gross.
Right.
I don't want to be that person, but I am definitely that person.
Oh, me too. My biggest problem with a lot of some of those other countries, especially like Japan, I would love to visit Japan.
Oh,
but they eat tons of seafood, and I'm not a seafood guy, right? But maybe you're right though. Maybe by going there, it would make you overcome some of your our pickiness. But my problem with seafood is I smell it and I just lose my appetite.
I understand that. That.
And like
that's how I feel with like I'm good with a lot of seafood. I do a lot of fish. I do like shrimp and lobster and all that stuff. But like when it comes to the mollusk sort of shellfish, oysters, mussels, is a visual thing for me. When I see it, it really like puts me off visually.
I gotcha. Yeah, and see, my other problem is the first time I ever had sushi, I got food poisoning from it.
Oh, so you have that bad connection
exactly.
to it. But obviously, the irony there is that Japan is has one of the best life expectancies in the world.
Right, and it's probably because they eat so much fish.
You're concerned about food poisoning.
Right. Well, the crazy thing is, dude, I went to this what we thought was like a Chinese restaurant with my parents, but it was like an Asian cuisine place where they just had all sorts of just different like Asian style dishes, right? And I had this beef. I think it was called like beef tengu. Have you ever heard of this before?
Tengu or wagyu?
Maybe it's that one. What's wagyu?
Okay. I'll Google it, but I've heard of wagyu beef before.
Well, it's where this beef is.
Wait, wagyu beef is Korean, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's Korean barbecue beef, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I haven't looked it up yet.
I'm not an Asian cuisine expert. I know it's hard to believe.
I'll look it up. I think it's Korean barbecue.
Well,
beef.
basically.
Oh no, it's super aged Japanese ribeye.
Okay.
Like it's like you see all that marbling.
Yep.
It's just super high quality.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what you're talking
that's
about.
Not.
But that's what.
I had a different type of beef where it's like they only put it like on the stove or in the oven for like a couple of seconds, so it's basically raw, and it's cold.
Yeah.
And I tried it. Have you tried this before?
No. But I was gonna say that would. I'd be okay with trying it, but you turned me off when you said cold.
Me too. I looked at it, I was like, oh, great, beef, this looks good. And then I bit into it, and I'm like, oh, this is cold.
I can handle like beef that's rarer than I'd probably order, if it's put in front of me. But like the cold thing would definitely. How'd you like it?
It was really good. And I think that whatever it was marinated in is what makes it edible, right? It was marinated in some type of salt or vinegar or something that makes it so, bacteria can't grow on it.
Right.
Because otherwise,
there's have you heard of ceviche?
That's Spanish, right?
It is Spanish, and it's a similar concept, but in the sense that food is cooked in acidity. So like it's a seafood based kind of dish, and it's not cooked, and it's cold, and it's not really cooked. But the acidity cooks it, and there's a lot of different sort of acidic lemon and whatever else is in there, and that quote unquote cooks it.
Right. Interesting. Well, Jared,
seems like a similar concept.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. What's also interesting, speaking of food, there's also some places in the United States I would like to visit. Some for food reasons, some for others. One, okay. I haven't spent a lot of time down south. Like, where I've spent the most time was Florida back in the day, and I don't really consider Florida the same as the rest of the South. Do you?
It is. No, I don't. As someone that has not grown up, that's not true at all. Someone that spent a lot of time, I partially kind of grew up there. I spent like every summer there. But anyway, as someone that spent a lot of time in Louisiana, from what I've heard, just from spending a lot of time there and from listening to podcasts and just from a lot of different sources, is that Florida is very different than, say, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, even Tennessee and Kentucky, as far as South goes.
Right.
And it's just a very different vibe.
Right.
And obviously that makes a lot of sense to all of us Americans that enjoy making Florida. I mean, we're not making Florida the butt of the joke. They're
Florida
making themselves the butt.
I was going to say
by
the same.
being part of the wildest news stories.
Oh yeah, 100%, without a doubt. So some places down south I'd like to visit.
New Orleans,
of course, New Orleans.
But a struggle similar to you're gonna have a struggle similar to Japan.
Lots of seafood.
Where a lot of the staples, especially in Louisiana,
right,
are seafood staples.
I mean, that fried fish is probably okay, isn't it?
That's a good point. Yeah, we did talk
about
that. You could
that.
definitely eat fried catfish, and one you won't smell it because it's fried.
Right.
And that would be the perfect way to start for you, for sure.
Okay. All right. So I'll have to try that. dousing
Maybe we
in
could
some
cook
hot
it
sauce.
when we're in Michigan. I might be able to.
My dad likes catfish, so I'm sure he'd
we might be able to
for
figure
it.
something out.
But yeah, just don't be mad if I don't like it. That's all I can say.
Well, you're not eating anything for dinner then.
That's right. Go for a
what
late
you
night
get.
Taco Bell run. But
I'm gonna be like hanging out in your like that room up there, and I'm like, yeah, Chad's not allowed to leave the dinner table till he finishes his fish.
yes, Dad. Okay. But yeah, so I would like to. But I would really like to try fried chicken down south. I've heard fried chicken. Now I don't know about this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my friend David, who grew up in Missouri and has been all over the South, he told me that Gus's is the best place for fried chicken.
Never heard of it. Where's Gus's at?
No idea. I think it's in Tennessee.
Look it up. I've heard Tennessee is a good place for fried chicken.
Okay.
Because Nashville is known for that hot chicken, which is
Oh, I would love that.
so it's so popular that I follow like food related, those like food related Instagrams, which is just essentially food porn as they call it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when the chicken comes, the hot chicken comes up often, and it looks so good. But I've also heard that like lines are just like ridiculously long.
Oh, really?
To the point where people sometimes like just pay people to wait in line for them.
Dang. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that I have a problem with lines.
Yeah, me either.
So you'd like to visit the South?
Nashville and Memphis, for sure. Those two are on my list. Just as a musician, those two places would be amazing.
I'm going with you. You could hit up a lot of jazz bars and blues bars and country bars and all that stuff.
Exactly. I've heard Nashville's better for country. Memphis is better for blues.
Okay, makes sense.
Then, other than Nashville and Memphis, I'd like to go way down south and go to Austin, Texas.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Austin would be great.
I've never been there. I've been to San Antonio and Dallas a bunch because I have family in Dallas.
Oh, nice. Okay. I think, New Orleans would be cool to check out. Other than that, the only other place that I'd really like to go in the United States is the Grand Canyon.
Interesting.
Because
I didn't even think about that.
Because I've been to California. I love it out
Yeah.
west in Montana and Wyoming and Colorado. I would happily go back to those places.
Right.
But these are all places where I've never been to, and trying to broaden my traveling horizons a little.
Of course. I'm trying. I didn't put much. I said I wanted to do more camping, and that is in America as well. I'm trying to think of places, and I don't have many places on my list in America that I would like to go. Let me think real quick. I've been to a lot of states. Alaska would be interesting, but it would be hard for me to make that one a priority. No offense, because we actually, at one point, I would assume would be listener in Alaska, and I was shocked to see that.
Right.
But anyway, it would be cool, but it would be hard for me to make that a priority.
I've heard it's absolutely beautiful in Alaska.
One place that's of course, how could it not be? I've heard one place that's on my near future list. Our friend, silent third co-host Brad, he just moved to South Carolina, and I don't think I've ever been to South Carolina, and so that would definitely. I'm going to visit him at some point.
Nice.
So I'm definitely excited to go there. That one
cool.
is probably going to be within the year sometime.
Nice.
But before I go there, my first priority for trips is to visit you, and I'm not even joking. Obviously, I put in the price alerts. That's what I was talking about earlier, and I'm monitoring. And I'm not gonna blame you because it's not really nothing. It's not your fault, but it is. I do have 2 months, which seems like a short window. But
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna make it work. I have faith
That's on
that
me,
I'm gonna
though.
find a
But
ticket.
I'll take the blame.
But that's the thing though, is even if it's not spring break, I can still come, and then like if I during the week or something, travel on my own, and then we can hang out on the weekends,
Exactly.
before and after or something. Who knows?
Exactly. Well, I feel good that we'll figure something out. Most definitely.
Yeah, me too.
Most definitely.
Me too. But it is very like oh man, like it's such a big like decision where it's like now I'm doing
Right.
this. This is I'm making this move.
Exactly.
now.
I feel like too with price alerts. I feel like it's kind of like Russian roulette.
Yeah.
By
the way, I read a news story. I was looking for shoutouts of the pod, and I read a news story. I want to be for idiots of the pod. This dude is two police officers or I guess I don't know if it was two or a group of police officers were playing Russian roulette, and one police officer killed his coworker
Oh, jeez.
by shooting her in the chest, and now he's obviously been got some charges coming up
That's crazy.
that he's gonna have to face.
That's nuts. Yeah.
Playing Russian roulette.
Why? Yeah. Why would you do that? That makes no sense to me. No sense at all. But people are stupid. That's for sure.
And it's like, no offense to the woman that got killed, but I was like, I mean, they were playing a game. They both
You
like
knew
could have
what's
been
gonna
him.
happen. Exactly.
Like that could have been him.
Exactly. Like that is literally what happens with Russian roulette.
Yeah, that's how the game ends.
Exactly. Exactly. Man, that's crazy. Well, buddy, I think it's time that we talk about our song of the pod. Unless you have other travel-related things to mention.
I want to know some of your upcoming because some of your places you want to visit.
Okay.
Because you've been in the Czech Republic for a while, and I feel like I want to get some more on the road again for some local kind of places you haven't been to recently.
So coming up, I'm going to a town called Humpolec, which is in the middle of the Czech Republic.
Right.
So that will be fun. I'm excited for that.
Is that going to be on the road again?
I'm hoping we can make it one for sure.
Okay.
I mean, we may also have a guest or some guests on. We'll see. We'll see if we can make it work. And then other than that, I would like to go to what they call Czech Switzerland. That would be a good spot for camping. Speaking of camping,
Czech Switzerland.
Yep. Uh-huh.
I did not know that existed.
Yep. They call it Český raj, which means Czech paradise. But a lot of people also refer to it as Czech Switzerland.
Is it like is Switzerland borders Czech Republic?
No. They call it Czech Switzerland because it's mountainous. It looks like Switzerland.
Oh, it's in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
But it looks Alpy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then other places. I wanna make a trip to Poland eventually. Budapest as well. If possible, I would love to check out Croatia. Croatia would be pretty cool. Other than that, I did mention at the beginning of the episode, there are some places and countries where I have visited that I want to go to. One of those is Hamburg, Germany. I've never been there, and all the times I've been in Germany. So I want to check out Hamburg.
I want to go to Berlin.
Yep,
That's
Berlin's great.
I lived in Germany and never went to Berlin.
Right. Yeah, I can't believe you, Jared. Cannot believe you.
I mean, I was. It's blame my family. I was too young to be going on vacations by myself.
That's true. That's true.
And they've all been to Berlin.
I'm surprised
so
you guys didn't have like a soccer tournament or something in Berlin.
Yeah, I don't think I ever came across the International School of Berlin. I mean, I don't know what their international school situation is like, but that was never one of the teams I played against.
Right. So yeah, Berlin is awesome. I love Berlin. I've been there 5 times. Would gladly go again.
Well, let's make that happen. Then.
Right, for sure.
I guess that's on me.
Right, that's true. If not, I'll just go to Berlin and just send you a selfie every morning. Be like, wish you were here. Sucks to be you. But yeah, the other place I'd like to visit though is I would really love to check out Hallstatt, Austria. Because
why that?
It looks like it's something straight out of a fairy tale. Like if go on Google right now, just type in Hallstatt, Hall Stadt. Or no, sorry, I think it's Statt. Might be.
Hallsta. Yeah, Stadt. Well, there's both, but I'll do Stadt. Oh, whoa, that looks like it's from Game of Thrones or something.
Yep. Looks pretty amazing, doesn't it?
That literally, honestly, I'm not sure if this is a picture or like a super close-up picture of one of those sort of like scenes that.
Now check this out. I want to blow your mind a little bit more. Now type in Hallstatt, China.
For our YouTube listeners, I'm putting my phone up to the screen, and it literally or the camera, and it literally looks like the inside of a snow globe.
Now check out Hallstatt, China.
China.
Yep. Just Google it. You won't be disappointed.
Is this in China?
Yes.
Does it have any relation to Austria?
Not really.
Wow.
But they recreated Hallstatt in China. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it's like this old European-looking town.
Yeah, they recreated it in China. I have no idea how they did that.
That's, by the way, shout out to our Chinese people, but that is such a Chinese thing to do, is to just take something and recreate it and be like, oh, we got it now, it's ours. You see with cars all the time where it's like, this is a blah, blah, blah. It's like, that looks like a BMW 3 Series with the BMW badge upside down.
Right, right. Exactly. So
that's cool, though. That looks really cool.
So those are some places. I would love to go back to the Netherlands, but see, the problem is, so I thought about staying a little bit longer after my contract is over, right? I was going to maybe stay into July, but now depending on my job prospects, I might actually come back in July, spend July and August in Michigan, and then if I get a job in Michigan, I'll just stay in Michigan. If I get a job abroad, then in August, it'll be time to go wherever I need to go. So
how is it as far as because you've kind of been in situations like this before, as far as getting that job offer and then being in America when that happens, and say it's a job that you had in Germany or Czech Republic, how does that work with buying the ticket when I guess you have time, because you'll find if you're in Michigan and you find out that you get hired for a job in Germany, say it's July and they want you to start in August. So you have to find a flight in that amount of time, or do you assume your company that hires you takes care of that?
Depends on the company, I guess. Depends on the company. I mean, my goal is regardless to have a job lined up. If the clouds align and everything's perfect, my goal is to have a job lined up before my contract's done. Exactly. And then I'll have a lot more time to find a ticket. Now, if I were to get something late like that, I would probably try to negotiate some type of, either they pay half or they reimburse me after a few months at the company or whatever.
Because you don't really have the ability to find deals.
Right.
Like you would if you were.
Now, with that being said, I'm pretty sure August is at the end of the tourist season. So the flights might be cheaper, and they might also be a lot cheaper because it won't be a round trip. Right. That could also make it more expensive. But it depends. I think generally round trips, you can get them for cheaper. Like when I came here, we looked for one way, and all the one way tickets I saw were $3,000. $3,000.
I guess it makes sense though, because it's like sort of any company is trying to upsell you.
Right.
So, it's harder to upsell someone on a flight because it's like well, I'm going where I'm going. But it's like, wait, if we can get you to somehow get the return flight, then we can make it seem cheaper.
Exactly.
But really, we got you twice now.
Right. Yeah. Which makes sense. So we'll see though. I'm really curious to see how everything will play out, and who knows where I'll be.
Yeah.
It's terrifying and exciting at the same time.
We know where you want to take trips, and hopefully we can do some on the road again soon.
Absolutely. Well, buddy, I think it's time that we get into the song of the pod. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. This one is his name is Joe Armand Jones. He's a DJ / producer, and it's mostly in the style of jazz and hip hop. He's British. And this song is called Starting Today, and I love these. I mean, I've said it before, but I love that sort of, it seems like you got your friends together and just decided to jam. And this is the ultimate, because they're in a room that looks like it's the size of my Harry Potter closet.
Right.
And there's a singer, there's a sax, there's a trumpet, there's a drummer, there's a bass, and then there's Joe Armand Jones.
I'm assuming he's playing the keys, right?
He is, yes. And I love that sort of jam vibe, and I love modern day jazz. Like I love modern day the electrified take on jazz.
Because he's playing like a jazz organ, right?
I guess you'd say that. Is that what you call those?
I would think so. I mean, it's like a keyboard, but it sounds more like an organ to me than a keyboard. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, it's like a keyboard, but it's like to me, I always just see it as some sort of maybe it is organy, but it is like an old school kind of keyboard almost. Like whenever I see those, because we had a Bink Beat song, and the guy that was accompanying him on the keyboard was playing something similar to that.
It's like a Hammond organ, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
I guess the old school one is the Hammond organ. It's like a jazz organ.
Yeah, because it kind of sounds like one of the first like takes on an electric piano, kind of. Like when that was, and that's just what I think in my head. I don't know if that is a first take on an electric piano or not, but that's what I think. And I love it. I like the vibe, and it's definitely a jam sort of song in the sense that it's about 10 minutes long, I think.
Yep.
And you don't hear words until about 3 minutes in, or probably 4 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay,
but
and there's
still
not a lot of words. It's It's more just starting today. A lot of that. But it's great. Even the guy's voice, like, not to shit on that, because he has a great voice, too. And, I thought it was a cool song. I like it. And you can check it out, by the way, on our Twitter, Untranslatable 1.
That's right.
The number 1. I'll post it there.
I'm grooving to it right now. It's fantastic.
Friday.
Absolutely fantastic. And you're right. It has a really kind of more open, loose jam vibe to it. I think it kind of builds on itself a little bit, too.
Yes.
Which is really great. And it's just an absolutely enjoyable song. This is something that I would love to have on if I'm like, not that I cook, but if I was cooking or like doing stuff around the house, this would be a great song to have in the background. One, because it's just a tasty jam, and because it's also pretty long.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of your Song of the Pods, you seem to have great stories, like the artist for whatever reason. A lot of mine come from trying to find songs that I listen to. Usually when we podcast, I sit down like an hour before we start to figure out stuff and just get all my shit set up. And during that, I like to find songs, and I love listening to Tiny Desk concerts during that time, because they're longer and you get a couple songs. And so I love stuff like this too, where it's longer. I'm every 3 to 5 minutes. I'm not going back to my other computer to try to find a song.
Right.
And so that's where most of my choices, some are not that, but a lot of my choices come from that, because I just like it's a great song to listen to in the background when you're trying to do other stuff and just jam out a little bit. You'll bounce your head to it, but it won't distract you too much.
Right. Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, Jared, now it's time for our Czech word of the pod today. And it is cestovat. Cestovat.
Okay.
What do you think that means?
Cestovat. Travel, trip, vacation. One of those three.
Which one? You're right, but which one?
Vacation. Travel.
There you go.
Okay.
Cestovat.
Okay.
The nice thing is it's weird. I think of Czech C's...
Is that a noun?
Verb. I think almost everything that ends in vat in Czech is usually a verb.
Okay. Is that like ending in en in German, sort of the base form?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about Czech that's helped me, for any of our German speakers out there learning Czech, the C is basically like a Z in German. Cestovat. Unless you have the hot check over it, the little arrow, and then it would be Čestovat, like Český.
Right. Yes.
Which is Czech. So yeah.
Hezký kluk.
So that's my Czech word of the pod. So now, Jared, I was telling you in the beginning of the show, or maybe even before the show, I'm not sure. I got some jokes.
Before.
So
although,
yeah.
Also on the YouTube channel, I put teasers from before we start recording. Maybe that'll be one of the teasers you're talking about.
There we go.
Who knows?
Well, Jared, why don't aliens visit our planet?
I don't know. Why don't they?
Terrible ratings. We only have 1 star.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Right? What did E.T.'s mother say to him when he got home?
Why didn't you call?
Where on earth have you been? Okay. What?
Did you need more from me on that one?
No, you're good. I got a couple more, though. Where do bees go on vacation?
Poland. Pollen.
That's not a bad guess. But they go to Singapore.
Oh, nice. See, I tried to be nicer to bees.
That's fair.
They're not always stinging.
Well, we'll see if you're nice to math teachers, because I want to know, where do math teachers go on vacation?
Hell.
No, Jared, they go to Times Square.
Which is essentially hell. I would think I was right.
Yeah, that's true. Where do crayons go on vacation?
I don't know why that's so funny to me. Where do crayons go on vacation?
Where do crayons go on vacation? Any ideas?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Colorado.
So
yes.
dumb.
I got a couple more for you.
Okay.
Where does a cow stay when it's on vacation?
Ooh. I mean, I know it involves moo somehow.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
A motel.
Oh, yes.
A motel.
Okay. Sorry, I thought cows would be classier than that.
All right. So now, Jared, I'll give you a choice. Our last joke, either do you want a shark joke or a SpongeBob joke?
SpongeBob.
Okay, I knew it. Why did I even bother asking? Why didn't Mr. Krabs invite SpongeBob to go on a vacation?
I don't know. Why didn't they?
Because he's shellfish. That's my best impression of Mr. Krabs right
there. That's how I kind of picture it.
Yeah, that's probably better. I wish I had the skills of a voiceover person where I could do that laugh on point. That's a great laugh.
Oh, were you trying to do SpongeBob's
Mr.
laugh?
Krabs.
Oh, okay.
SpongeBob's is a completely different one. I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yeah, that's really hard.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt it. Well, Jared, it has come to that time where we leave our listeners with a quote of the pod. And today, I thought this was a very fitting one. And the quote is, "Jobs fill your pocket, but adventures or traveling fill your soul." Fill your soul.
Wow. Chad's getting a little choked up.
That's right.
My soul. Yeah. And that's why I think it's sort of ridiculous. I think let me get on my soapbox real quick. Hold on, let me go get my soapbox. There we go. I think a lot of Americans are really doing themselves a disservice by how little vacation. I don't think they realize how little, like, the disservice they're doing by how little vacation they give.
Right.
Because I think an argument could be made for a higher level of productivity if you had more vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
and let me push my soapbox back on.
There you go. Nice. But yeah, I think it's true though, and I agree with you 100%. I think people underestimate the value of travel. It's a very important thing. I think especially if you want to broaden your horizons, open your mind, traveling is a great way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you want to sharpen your social skills, traveling is also great for that as well. Getting out of your comfort zone, trying new things, like we mentioned, trying new food. There's a lot of benefits of travel. And so with that being said, let us know where you are planning to travel next. You can slide into our DMs on Twitter, Untranslatable1. Check out our travel pics and other random clips and such on our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. And if you have any untranslatables, a special shout out, or anything you would like us to share on the podcast, shoot us an email, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. We would really appreciate it. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and maybe given you some ideas for some new places to travel as well. So let us know. Happy and safe travels. And as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Děkujeme.